So, a very good afternoon to you all. Welcome to Job Grid IAS, and this is session 9 of Mains Enrichment Program. We are discussing the mains answer writing through the PYQs because PYQs are the keys to success in this mains examination. With the help of PYQs, you can actually decode the exam pattern. You can answer well, and obviously PYQs, generally they are formed by the UPSCs, so they are the most authentic source so that you can connect your dots for UPSC Civil Services mains examination. Now, there is an important information about you that soon we are going to start the prelims special program for UPSC prelims 2026 through PYQs. Each PYQ will be covered by one topic, so that we will be able to provide you enough data for the prelims 2026, right? So, anyways, you are having your mains in last week of August, and I think almost 50 days remaining for your mains examination. So, we will discuss things one by one. So, on Saturday I discussed, and on Friday I discussed two important themes of modern Indian history. Today I am going to discuss a very important theme of Indian art and culture. Now, this is high time that should start revising the subjects, especially the world history as well as the post-Indian independence, because only 50 days are remaining. I know you all of you are busy with certain things. You must be busy with the essay writing, essay writing, essay writing. Must be busy with your optional, right? But you can't ignore world history and post-Indian independence. Post-Indian independence, right? In essay, you will have certain, open-ended topics, certain theme-based topics, such as some topic is based on economy, some topic is based on science and tech, some topic is based on, the sociology, but there are certain open-ended topics which are known as the philosophical topics. So, our question for the day, is very philosophical. And the question is Indian philosophy. Indian philosophy and tradition played a significant role in conceiving the shaping the monuments and their art in India. Discuss. The question is discuss. So, what you need to do? You can see the word limit 250 words. This question was asked in UPSC Civil Services Mains 2020. Yes, we have discussed last 5 years of PYQs. Sorry, 4 years of PYQs from 2024 to 2020, and our agenda is to discuss the last 10 years PYQs thoroughly. Okay. Now, this is an open discussion. This is an open discussion. And the word discuss itself indicate that this question is open ended, because question is about the Indian philosophy. Now, you should not be confused between the Indian philosophy and ancient Indian philosophy. They are asking about the Indian philosophy only, which means the philosophy of ancient India, the philosophy of medieval India, the philosophical context of modern India. Whenever you discuss about ancient philosophy as a topic, as an individual topic, you make certain mistakes. Why? Why? Because there is a separate chapter on ancient Indian philosophy, whether it your textbooks or your NCERT or any kind of notes that you are referring now. So you should not be mistaken between these two things. Our question is from here, not from here. This is just a part of this question. Ancient Indian philosophy is the part of this question, not the entire question. Entire question is about ancient Indian philosophy. Sorry, Indian philosophy. So whenever you talk about Indian philosophy, you will have ancient Indian philosophy, ancient Indian philosophy. Then you will have medieval Indian philosophy. Then you will have modern Indian philosophy. Right? Modern Indian philosophy. Okay. So now whenever you discuss about this ancient Indian philosophy, the ancient Indian philosophy, first of all, try to brainstorm on this topic. Do not just jump over the introduction, body and the conclusion. So what is ancient Indian philosophy? And don't be confused with certain presumptions that you don't know anything about this question, because you have studied well, you have cleared your prelims examination, you have studied Indian history thoroughly, you have enough data from Indus Valley civilization to the year of 1947, so you can easily brainstorm this topic. So ancient Indian history has, the Vedic philosophy, Harappan philosophy, before this Harappan philosophy, you will have Jainism, Buddhism and Jainism philosophy, Jainism and Buddhism, Jainism and Buddhism. Then you will have a lot of philosophies like Shaivism, Vaishnavism, but these philosophies are connected with the contemporary rulers. For example, Ashoka was a Shaiv before the Kaling War, but he became a Buddha. He became a Buddhist after the War of Kaling. Gupta rulers, mainly the followers of Hinduism, they assumed the titles like Param Bhattarak, Param Maheshwar, right, which are related to Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Okay. Now, let us discuss one by one. When you discuss the medieval philosophy, you will have the philosophy of Islam, you will have Sufism, you will have Bhaktism, you will have the concept of Deen Ilahi given by Akbar. Then on modern Indian philosophy, you don't see too much contribution of British people in the Indian philosophy, because British could never become a part of India. They only plundered India. They only exhausted the Indian resources, right? So, but the question is about the philosophy. There was certain thought process which we still follow. That is the legacy of British people, right? So this should be the length of your answer. This should be the length of your answer. It should not be like you have seen the word of philosophy and you are continuously stick to it. Learn to beat around the bush. Okay. So now what you will write in introduction: Indian philosophy encompassing Hindu, Buddhism, Jain and another traditions has had a profound impact on the art and architecture of Indian subcontinent. You know one example, the Barabar caves for Ajivaks, which were constructed by Ashoka because his father Bindusar was an ardent follower of Ajivak philosophy. Ajivak philosophy. Throughout history, various periods and rulers embraced different philosophical ideas which reflected in the design and construction of monuments and temples. And temples. For example, Khajuraho temple, which were constructed by later Gupta era by Chandel kings. Khajuraho is in MP. So they depicted a different idea of architecture, different thought, and that thought which was depicted was a product of their philosophy. Now, what will write in body impact of philosophy in the ancient period? What was the impact? First of all, Harappan period. What you see in Harappan period, the sign of swastik, this sign, right? And Pashupatinath seal, Pashupatinath seal. So, what you can learn from this philosophy, what you can adhere, the Harappan, even during Harappan people, during Harappan period, the natives were followers of Lord Shiva. They are following the Hindu signs such as swastik, Pashupatinath seal, right? So the swastik, it was their spiritual philosophy that was depicted like this in the sign of swastik, in their stamps, in their seals. So the swastik symbolizing spiritual significance was found in Indus Valley excavations. The origins of the Hindu god Shiva can be traced back to this period, influencing later Shaivism and Vaishnavism, the Bhakti movement, these two sects of Bhakti movement, Alvars and Nainars, emerged in 7th century in South India, and they had their roots in the Indus Valley civilization. That is the beauty of Indian philosophy. Okay. Now, next is Vedic period. In Vedic period, there are two phases, Rig Vedic period and later Vedic period. In Rig Vedic period, people used to worship nature. So, what happened in Rig Vedic period? When we talk about Vedic period, you can divide this in two ages. Rig Vedic period and later Vedic period. They had their different timelines. 1500 BC to 1000 BC, and then 1000 BC, 600 BC, right? So now here the philosophy was different and here the philosophy was different. How? Rig Vedic, the native of the Rig Vedic period, worshipped nature. There was a divine concept of nature. They worshipped Agni because, as per their perception, Agni is known as the mouth of God. Agni works as a mediator between human and God. They worshipped Indra, the Purandar, for material success. for victory in war, because Indra was the god of thunder. He was the god of rain. Rain is water. Water is the need of every single living being, not just human being. So they need to satisfy, they need to appease the god of thunder, the god of rain. Hence they worshipped Indra. They worshipped Varun, the god of ocean, god of rivers, and a lot more things. So nature had a divine concept in Rig Vedic age. Their philosophy was different. Now in later Vedic age, there came a concept of Tridevas. Tridevas. Prajapati, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiv. Prajapati is Brahma itself, right? So generally what we see in the books, Prajapati, Vishnu and Shiv. Prajapati, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiv. So single period has seen variation in philosophy. They worshipped natural god, nature as a god. They worshipped the deities. Now there are different things. There were different methods. What was the common thing? What was the most important thing of later Vedic age? The performance of yajna. Performance of yajnas, such as Ashwamedha, Rajasuya, and Vajpaya. And due to these yajnas, the Brahmanical class became so rich, because these yajnas were performed by the Kshatriya class, so that they could protect the other classes. Now there was a continuous competition emerged between Brahmins and the Kshatriyas. Brahmins claim that we are the people who are doing yajnas for you, so that you can collect the strength and defend our borders and defeat the enemies. Now Kshatriyas are saying that we are the mighty Kshatriyas, we have the strength. Because of our strength, Brahmins, Vaishya and Shudra, especially Brahmanical class, is able to perform yajnas, because we are protecting your lives. So there was a continuous competition. Now due to this competition, the rest of the two classes, the Vaishyas and Shudras, they became subdued. They became subdued classes. Now what happened next? The emergence of Jainism and Buddhism, because both Mahavir Swami and Gautam Buddha born in Kshatriya class, and they left the concept of Kshatriya class in search of truth. They discarded the theory of divinism, they discarded the theory of Vedas, they discarded the system of Varna system, and they focused on the liberation of oneself. Be it Gautam Buddha or Mahavir Swami, both had one single aim, that the aim of human life is to realize the truth, Now, the philosophy of Vedic period, Vedic people attributed divinity to natural forces, as I explained you, and fire altars became integral to their religious and social life. They are speaking about the yajnas. They are speaking about the yajnas. Buddhism and Jainism, they disregarded the concept of Varna system and focused on self-liberation. They even disregarded the concept of Vedas. They disregarded the authority of the divine concepts. Even when you see Buddhism, there are two major sects, Hinayan and Mahayana. People who followed Hinayan, they believed in the original teachings of Gautam Buddha, and people who still believe in Mahayana, they believe the divine concept of Buddha. The concept of Buddha's idol is originated from Mahayana sect. So Buddhism and Jainism philosophy we have discussed. Next is Mauryan period and Gupta period. we see three, major leaders in Mauryan period. Mauryan period. Here you see three principal rulers. First is Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya. Second is Bindusar. And third is the great Ashoka. Third is the great Ashoka. Now, just focused upon the philosophies that they followed. He followed Shaivism, as well as Vaishnavism. He followed Ajivikas. Ajivikas philosophy. And he followed Shaivism and Buddhism. So, whenever you see the construction of Barabar caves, in Himalayas, for Ajivaks, because Ashoka's father Bindusar was influenced by Ajivak philosophy. To commemorate his father's memory and to give respect to Ajivaks, he constructed Barabar caves in Himalayas. Now, when you see the Buddhism, the influence of Buddhism on Ashoka, there is only one thing that came into the picture, that Ashoka's inscriptions, Ashoka's inscriptions be it rock inscription or pillar inscription, are influenced by Buddhism. Ashoka's inscription are influenced by Buddhism. There are 13 major inscriptions of Ashoka. Each inscription has different messages. So they all are inspired by the philosophy of Buddhism. But Ashoka himself was a Shaiv before the Kaling War. After the Kaling War, after the he created an absolute carnage in Kaling War. His heart melted and he started following Buddhism. It doesn't mean that Shaivism is all about violence. No, there is whenever you see the Indian philosophy, all philosophical texts or all the philosophies, the philosophy of meditation, the philosophy of focusing, are originated from Shaivism. Shaivism is the oldest philosophy of India, right? Next is the Gupta kings. Next is the Gupta period. The Gupta kings, be it Chandragupta, be it Samudragupta, be it Chandragupta II, be it Kumargupta, be it Skandagupta, they all are influenced by either by Jain philosophy or by Vaishnavism philosophy. And later Gupta period is very much important as far as the temple architecture is concerned. Now, the special temples were Khajuraho temple. They were constructed by Chandel dynasty in 950 AD, right? So they had different kind of architecture, but they were influenced by Gupta period. They were influenced by the Gupta period, especially the Kam Sutra. The Kam Sutra was compiled by a scholar called Vatsyayan. Vatsyayan Kama Sutra was compiled in Gupta period, and Khajuraho temple is an structural or architectural masterpiece of Kama Sutra, right? Next. Next is the Pallava and Chola dynasty. Pallava and Chola dynasty. So I have discussed one question, the influence of Pallavas and Cholas on the Indian arc and architecture, even at the contemporary times, thoroughly. It was a 150 marker question that was asked in, I think, UPSC Civil Services Mains 2023. I have discussed this question thoroughly. So you can imagine how themes are repeating directly or indirectly, right? So Pallavas and Cholas, these dynasties significantly developed temple traditions, and temples became central to societal communication. Societal communication. Notably, example include the Rath temple. So whenever see the Rath temple of Mahabalipuram, these are the master class of Pallava dynasty, the Pallava kings. Narsingvarman, the great Pallava king, he constructed this Panchrath temple, and this Panchrath temple includes 5 rathas, and the meaning of ratha is temple. There are 5 temples: Bhim, Arjun, Nakul and Sahadev combinedly have one, Draupadi and Yudhishthir. There were 5 temples, right? And there is one rock specimen which shows the penance of Arjuna. So this shows the spirit of Arjuna, the patience level of Arjun, what his patience can do. His patience can even please Lord Shiva. So this philosophy, this architecture of Pallava dynasty is a message not only to the visitors of this temple but the entire mankind. We have to be patientful, right? So next is the Chola architecture, the bronze architecture of Nataraj, and that architecture was inspired by the later Pallava age, right? Especially the Kailashnath and Vaikunt Perumal temples. You must, study about these temples individually, because we have, very less time remaining for the mains. I cannot explain you all the things in mains enrichment program. I can, yes, make themes separately for you in a 20-minute show or on a 30-minute show, right? So these examples that you should include in your answer. Next, fact of Indian philosophy in the medieval period. So whenever see medieval period, there are a lot of philosophies emerged, not only just Din Ilahi. The first philosophy was Bhaktism, Bhaktism and Sufism, right? Second was Din Ilahi, which was propounded by Akbar. It was a fusion of all the religious sects, be it Islam, Hinduism, Zoroastrian, Sikhism, right? It was a fusion of all religious sects. Now, Akbar even established an Ibadat Khana, and he invited all the scholars of all religious sects, right? And then he introduced the concept of Din Ilahi. Now, third philosophy, which is very important, the individual philosophies, the outcome of Bhaktism, Ramcharitmanas, which was written Avdhi, was written by Goswami Tulsidas, right? So there are a lot of philosophies that emerged at that time, especially in the medieval time. Bhaktism and Sufism, they emerged in the 7th century AD in South India. I have explained you many more times. Let me remind you again, the Alwar and Nainar saints. Next is impact of philosophy in modern India, especially in the British colonial period. As I told you, be it sultans or badshahs, they became the part of India. They adopted the Indian culture. Yes, there were certain atrocities done by them, but British could never become the part of this country. They only plundered this nation. They only exhausted the resource of this nation. But there are certain legacies in terms of philosophy and art and architecture. European systems such as neoclassical, Gothic revival, and Baroque became the prevalent, merging with Indo-Islamic style to create Indo-Saracenic style. So whenever you see a old British building, it is a mixture of British style and Islamic dome, right? It's like this. They're like this kind of structures. Old British buildings, old parliament, old British era hospitals, old British era cinema halls. A few of them are existing now. So you can actually uh, can get visuals. So now this was all about the impact of Indian philosophy, its various aspects. So how will you conclude this topic? So conclusion is very simple, because it was very clearly mentioned in the question that you need to discuss. You need to discuss. So now in conclusion, you can write, Indian philosophy has been a dominant influence on architecture and interiors of monuments. What I told you, your conclusion must be in such a manner that is must satisfy the points of body, and you have no other option. If your conclusion is deflecting from the point of your body that you have mentioned in your answer can be penalized very, very easily. So, however, monuments were not solely shaped by philosophies, they also incorporated elements of trade and cultural interactions, reflecting the richness and diversity of India's heritage. So, this was all for the day. I hope you all enjoyed the session. There are very less time remaining for the mains, right? So, we will continue this series twice or thrice in a day, twice or thrice in a week. So, be prepared for the mains, focus on your examination, do not alter your resources, and subscribe JobGrade IS, download the app. For more guidance, you can subscribe our course Ignite Foundation Batch 2026.